not do everything I've learned. What is real and fabricated? What is wrong? What is my problem? What can I get out of this world that I created? Fighting the storms in my head. Don't know where I have been. I'm alone, no one to turn to. No one understands, shit's too complicated. Away, and I feel like I am someone else. Away, and I feel like I don't know myself, no. Away, and I feel like I don't know my name. And I don't want to live this way. I don't wanna keep on wasting a life. I'm drowning in my head, I'm losing the mind. And if you could know, yeah, if I could show you, I don't wanna keep on living this life so faceless.
Unknown Brain, Marvin Divine, and we back.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. Made it through the rain and rain. I turn nothing into something. No more dealing with their assumptions. Cause I do what I gotta do and I know, can't nobody do it like me. All they do is judge me for who I might be. Maybe if they took some time to pick my mind, to see that I'm cooler than lemons and iced tea. All I wanna do is live it up with the homies. Everybody really talking as if they know me, but I guess I gotta face it. I'm so tired of being faceless.
I don't wanna keep on wasting a life. I'm drowning in my head, I'm losing the mind. And if you could know, yeah, if I could show you, I don't wanna keep on living this life so faceless.
So faceless.
I've got a premonition, I'm dreaming you and I. All my darkest fears are coming outside. We got a billion races, we got this melody. And you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love. I got you on my mind. You were stuck in my head and I don't know why. We got a billion races, we got this melody. And you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TTML Division 2. We are here tonight for round 3 of the championship as we take in the Spanish Grand Prix from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking you through the stream as your lead commentator here tonight. Mike Edwards not here tonight, sadly, so I'm filling in as your lead commentator tonight. And joining me in the commentary box, it's not a Thursday without him, it's Mr. Daniel Hoggard. Dan, how you doing?
Thank you very much, James. Hello, everyone, and welcome to what is going to be the third round of the championship here in TTML Division 2. We had an absolutely thrilling race last time out in Bahrain, and I suspect this race to be no different. Championship standings are incredibly tight after the second round, after some very mixed up results with some league reserves really starring in the last race. So this should be nail-biting with the championship not having any conclusive leaders as it stands. It's going to be fascinating to see if anyone gains momentum in this third round of the season.
It's something like 16 points separating the top 9 coming into tonight. That's just how close it was from Bahrain last time out. If you didn't watch Bahrain, go back and watch it later on. But for those that you did, Trippy Jeff took the win from Nathan in second and Jorg Schmidt finishing in third. And all three of them will face once again tonight out on track. The driver standings are as follows. Gary leading the way on 37 points from Jorg Schmidt in second on 36. Scuba in third on 32 with Trippy Jeff and Caladre in tie for fourth on 30 points. Trippy Jeff a reserve, the German of course. Ryan and Nathan, another reserve, tied for sixth on 25. Ryan probably not racing. Nathan taking his place. B. Morgan in 8th on 22, Callboy in 9th on 21, and Isotopic in 10th on 18 points. You can see that to the left-hand side as well. 1 win and 1 podium to Gary's name. Looking down the rest of the field, McCrew in 11th on 18. He's quite confident coming into tonight, which I've seen. Volokongan and Lemon in tied for 12th on 15 points. Alonso and Noisy and Tiones all in on 14 and 13 points respectively. Matt Tibos, who's recently joined TTG Esports as of today, is in 17th on 11. Then we've got Sway in 18th on 9, just Chris in 19th on 8, and Legend in 10th. Legend in 20th, I should say, on 7 points. To run through the constructors, because I know that the drivers are readying up already within the lobby. Williams out on top on 62 points, with Alfa Romeo second on 49, Red Bull third on 43, then Renault, Ferrari, Mercedes, AlphaTauri, Haas, McLaren and Racing Point, all constructors currently scoring points, which I'm very glad to see. And Dan, I'll come across to you before we start qualifying. We're about to start literally in 30 seconds. Gary leading out on top, Jorg Schmidt in second. Who's going to come out on top?
Well, there's certainly a long way to go. We're going to have to see tonight how this is going to swing. Certainly, Gary Jorg's going to be a very intriguing battle because Jorg, throughout the season, he's actually grabbed both of the pole positions so far, but hasn't been able to convert them to the race. Gary was caught up in an incident last time out that ruined his race. I think those two will be able to throw it again. We'll see what they can do, though, because we're now got a whole race ahead of us. This evening should be good. We'll see what twists and turns the championship's going to take in its third round.
Unbelievably starting a minute early, which is fantastic to see in Division 2. Let us get started then. Let us get straight in to qualifying. Welcome along, everyone, to TTML Season 3. We are here for Round 3 of the Championship as we take in the Spanish Grand Prix from the Circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia. 16 turns, of course, awaiting these drivers out on track, and 3 compound of tyres awaiting these guys. The softs, mediums and hards, the C3, C2 and C1 compound. Of course, you'll be trying to do a 2-stop or maybe even a 1-stop strategy around here. My name, of course, is James Head. Dan Hoggard is taking you through the commentary as my co-coms. Let's have a look then at the track in question. 4.6 kilometres and then takes the drivers around 16 turns with 2 DRS zones. 1 down the start-finish straight, 1 down in towards turn 10, and it's going to be fascinating. Quite a lot of elevation change, quite a lot of uncharacteristic corners that could just throw the cars out wide. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this qualifying is all going to go. Speaking of qualifying, we are straight in, and one noticeable difference that you might have seen from Division 1, it's cloudy rather than blue skies and sunshine, but that comes to show what sort of qualifying it is. And Dan, I'll come across to you. What sort of qualifying session are we expecting?
Well, it's going to be a very intriguing one because this is a track where generally running on the soft tyre, particularly in the race, isn't exactly that strong. So you could see maybe some alternate strategies. I still think that the soft tyre is going to be the preferred one to run on, the C3 tyre, of course, for this event. But it's going to be really good to watch, of course, in this track. Very high speed throughout the first two sectors, and then very low speed throughout the last sector. So a bit of a change in tune, a bit of a change in driving style needed to carry these drivers around the track. We'll see what they're able to do, though. LR McCrew is the first driver out there on the track at the moment, so we'll see what he can make of that. Had a pretty strong showing last time out at Bahrain, and now driving, of course, in that Racing Point this weekend. We'll see how he's able to work with it, but it should be very, very fascinating. A quality session, of course, 80 minutes in length, and a track that's very technically challenging then. I'd say it's a track easy to learn, difficult to master. We'll see what these drivers could do, but I suspect we have a great spectacle ahead of you this evening.
It's a track that's quite easy to watch, I think, from a viewer's point of view, and that we do like to see really good racing, especially on this game, out on track around Spain. So it's going to be fascinating to see how everything is going to get on. We've got McCrew now coming through turn 12 at Bank Sabadell, and now running down towards 13, and then through the chicanes at 14 and 15. So let me take you on board then of a lap with LR McCrew, currently 10th in the standings, 18 points to his name as he now rounds the final corner to start off on this lap around 4.6 kilometre circuit as he now runs down on the long run towards turn 1. About a 500 metre run down in towards turn 1. There's a car to the right hand side just coming out of the pit lane, and now through turn 1 goes McCrew. Gets caught on the outside curve, just flings him out wide slightly, then through turn 2, and then through the flat right-hander of turn 3. Look at how he takes the power through there. Normally see quite a few drivers trying to nick to the corners. 21.1 through the first sector is not too bad at all from McCrew. 21 flat, in fact, from McCrew through the first sector. He's in on a set of soft compounder tyres as he now comes down the hill towards turn 6, and then just has a little bit of moment coming out of the turn, and now comes towards turn 7 and 8. And this is very tricky. You can invalidate your lap, you can pick up a 3-second time for the heave as well. As now coming through turn 9 goes McCrew, and that's a beautiful line coming through turn 9. He now downs it down in towards 8th gear, will down it in towards 2nd, maybe with a nick of 1st, but he ups it to 3rd. 49 flat through the middle sector, 27.8 in terms of the middle sectors. He now comes through Bank Sabadell at turn 12. Now runs down towards turns 13, 14 and 15. This is a really competitive lap, I think, from McCrew so far. Again, it will try and improve on this lap as he goes forward in qualifying. But around the final corner goes McCrew. What's his lap time going to be? His lap time comes across the line, and it's a 1:14.5, and he's already at the top of the standings with Matt Tibos just in behind on a set of mediums.
Yeah, that's a really stalking lap then from McCrew to kick off this session in 1:14.5. Very, very strong lap time, but there's going to be a flurry of times coming in. We'll see how everyone is going to stack up. But so far, just looking at the sector times, McCrew looks pretty damn unstoppable as it stands. You can see some of the lap times coming in. Legend goes second, obviously not representative for him or Volokogin, so these guys trying to go again. Alonso goes up in a second place as it stands, but McCrew already on a 14.5 at this stage in the session, you have to say. I mean, most of the drivers in D1 were around about that time, maybe a little bit quicker, but that's his first lap of the session, so that's hugely impressive. To the light behind is AGU, that's a good lap time as well, 1:15 flat. Goes up onto the front rows of stands, but McCrew the early leader. Lap times to come in, and Scuba third place. That's a hugely impressive lap. 52 on the mediums. That's ominous looking for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, really good lap time there by the Irishman. B. Morgan just comes into the line and goes second with a 1:14.9, about 4/10 of a second off McCrew. Two former League of Europe drivers, of course, as Chionis now goes to the top of the standings in the Renault with a 1:14.5. Very good lap time from him. We are 4.5 minutes through qualifying. Chionis out on top. As soon as I say that, Jorg is now out on top from Chionis in second and McCrew in third position. Gary has just gone into fourth. Plenty of drivers on the 1:14.5 and just under 1/10 of a second, separating the top four with 5 minutes to go in qualifying.
Very tight up there, and yet again, Jorg showing that he is the qualifying master right now at TTML Division 2. He has got 2 pole positions from 2 races this season. Let's see if he can make it another one then. He has a half-a-tenth advantage up at the front. But Chionis, McCrew, Gary, all very close behind then, less than a tenth as you mentioned, covering that top 4. So it's going to be very tight then, as a Caladra, I think that was, who went up into 5th position. It's very overcast at the moment, and that makes me wonder if we could be seeing rain in this session. The conditions may well evolve. It could well go dry, or it could well go clear, I should say, or it could well start pouring it down. We'll see, but these drivers seem to have a mentality of trying to get the lap times in early. And watching Isotopic then, he was 48.9 in the first 2 sectors. Very quickly, see if the Ferrari can keep this up in the last few corners here. Now, fading the traction, fading the car. feeding it through turn 12 and now attacking in a turn 13 for the back up to the outside line for turn 14. Awkward chicane to open up the lap, then to close on the lap, I should say, running right out to the white line. Now to the line. This could be very competitive for the Ferrari Open CRS. Goes up in a second place. So Isotopic right up there, and he get dead gain going through that last sector. So you see there, putting it together last sector, it's just that middle sector that cost him versus Jorg, who still holds pole position, but he has a lot of competition on his hands today. Incredibly tight at the top today, James.
It is top 5 now, separated by just less than a tenth of a second. We now run on board with Sway, who we shall not run on board with Sway because I've just seen him make a mistake coming out of turn 5 and through turn 6. The Mercedes now not on a lap, and he is on a set of medium compounder tyres. As you can see to the graphic to the left-hand side, he's not on a set of softs. He's out there on a set of mediums, and I believe that's where is still going on this lap. It's not an invalidated lap. There's a 21.3 through the first sector, but we saw him right at the death making the mistake then. Through the middle sector, not going to be competitive at all. You can see him riding on ERS2, 32.9, not competitive at all. But we'll ride on board in the meantime with Matt Tibos, who I think has just started on a lap, as well as Lemon. Any old Lemon, of course. I'm going to call him Lemon. I think that's the right name to pronounce, isn't it? I hope.
Well, I went as it appears LMN last week, but we can go with Lemon, sure. It sounds a little bit nicer. We'll keep tracking the AlphaTauri, though, on this lap. Had a rather solid showing last time out in Bahrain, so we'll see if he can keep that relatively good runner form going. Going through this middle sector then, into the fabulous turn 9. Just a slight entry left. Running up to the outside and opening that DRS. Short burst as you prepare for the hairpin. His pace is very quick. Going through that middle sector, it may well be a pole position lap if he can put together this final section of the track. Putting it now into third gear, short shift to fourth, then up to fifth. Going through turn 12, again right to the white line there. He's got to maximise this closing section of the track. Now all over the curb at turn 14, out on the exit. It's clean, it's good. Is it good enough for pole position? He derates, but can he snatch the top spot away from Jorg? No! The last sector fell away from him. He's now into fourth, and we keep building up these drivers on 14.5s. Now the top 6 covered by less than a tenth of a second. What a competitive quality session we have on our hands right now, James.
Well, to put it into perspective, Lemon lost the time, as you said, in the final sector. Looking at sector times, 25.5 was the one set by Isotopic. He did a 25.729 through that through the final sector, so that really cost him, Lemon. But he goes fourth, or LMN, as we'll rightfully pronounce his name now. Top 6, just separated by less than a tenth of a second. Matt Tibos came back into the pit lane, and Callboy, who was also on a lap, went at 12th. On a 115.7 on a set of medium compound of tyres. Is there anybody else there out on a lap that you can spot for me, Dan?
Well, I can point out that LR McCrew has just gone to the top of the timesheets with that last lap. He was flying throughout the middle sector, actually lost some time in the last sector. But at the moment, the Racing Point looks to have something of an edge of the rest of the field pace-wise. Absolutely flying out there. We have both the Alfa Romeos up to the line. They're starting flying laps. It is relatively quiet, but we still have some laps to come in. Very, very sure at the moment. I guess we're going to... the driver that I've managed to find is TNR Tionis, who was actually really impressed with the first runs. We'll see what he can do. Fourth at the moment. Can he go higher? Just over a tenth of a second. And he's putting on a pole position. Can he find that tenth, though? Heading now in a turn 7 in difficult traction zone. We'll see how he manages the second half of this flying lap.
He's nearly a tenth and a half up already on this lap, actually, looking at looking at his personal best first sector, compared to McCrew, who was a tenth down. He's got to find time in this middle sector. Let's see what the runner could do. We're already halfway through qualifying. McCrew out on top, Jorgen second, Isotopic third, Tionis in fourth. What was that all for, Dan?
That was Tionis continuing to push forward on this lap, and he gets a little bit out of shape going through turn 12, just about holds it in a straight line, but he's all over the sausage curve. He's got to try and hold this together. He's oversteering, he's drifting through this final section of the track. Bit of a scrappy final run. Is that going to cost him a run at pole position to the line? Tionis stays in fourth place. He'd validated in the end. No, I don't think he'd validated. I think he didn't improve. He did a 14.7 anyway. So he wouldn't have found the time, and that's how much just a few slides, a few little slips of the throttle can cost you going throughout that last section of the track. Just a couple of small errors costing him, and what could turn from a potential pole position was not an improvement. The Norwegian's going to have to go again then and try and have another pop at that top time.
Got Isotopic and Jorg also on lap times, but however, Jorg's teammate Noisy has just gone 8th with a good lap, a 1:14.688. He puts it just about a tenth of a second ahead of Caladre out on track. Isotopic we'll go on board with now. Let's see where he is out on track. There he is. He's now coming through turn 6, and Jorg is just coming through the final couple of corners. So in fact, we're right on board with Jorg as he now comes through turn 14, 15, and then through 16. Is it enough for pole position currently with 7 minutes to go in the session? Yes, by a stonking lap, a 1:14.2 from Jorg. 7 minutes to go in the session. That might just be the time to beat. Let's go back on board with Isotopic as he now comes through the middle sector. Looking at his time so far, 27.8 in the middle sector is exactly dead on with Jorg's middle sector as well. So this could be quite tight from Isotopic. Can he find the real miracle coming through this final sector? He spins out, coming out wide, and he's back into the pit lane, backside his lap. He didn't look like he was improving. The Scuba goes up into third with a 1:14.5. Everyone beginning to improve their lap time, but Jorg out on top from a crew in second, and now Scuba into the top 3. 0.3 of a second now, just over, separating the top 7.
Yeah, that was a great lap from Jorg. That was all in the last sector. Did a 25.4 throughout that last sector. That's well over a tenth quicker than anyone else has done so far this session. So he was really flying out there, and now we're in a bit of a, I'd say we're in a bit of a cool-down period, but we still have some drivers out there. Notably, XL Gary, the championship leader, with a strong first sector of a 20.8. Can he continue to build on this throughout the remainder of this lap? Then heading into turn 7, using a lot of the curb on the outside and on the inside, really pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries. But it's good so far, and he's keeping it together. Down through turn 9, running into the outside curve, opening up that DRS. What's the time through the second sector? It's quick. It's very quick. Can he continue to build on this? Can he hook up the end of this lap? XL Gary and the Williams getting onto that inside lane, heading through turn 12. How's the traction? It's beautiful. Now, heading into the final few corners into turn 14, second gear. Is he going to short shift on the exit? Try and find some traction. He doesn't use the curb on the outside. He's going to keep it a tight run to the line. Currently 7th. He's going to improve. How far can he shoot up? It's straight to the top. XL Gary on pole position now with 5 minutes to go. A huge lap from XL Gary, and that one was on middle sector. Brilliant run through the middle part of the lap. That's pole position, and now that's the time to beat. And again, it's Gary and Jorg dueling it out for pole position here in Spain.
I'll tell you now, Jorg has got a really good chance of improving on this lap, because I've just seen the middle sector split, and Gary is a 1/10.5 quicker than Jorg in that middle sector alone. So that's why he's now at the top of the standings. Jorg down in second. Everyone has managed to get a lap in bar sway. Alonso now coming through the final couple of corners. He's on a set of medium compound tyres. It's been disappointing so far from Alonso. He doesn't improve, but he is just starting up on a lap, I believe, in the Haas. Legend is also out there on a lap. He transitioned from a set of softs. He ran 4 laps actually on that set of softs to a set of mediums. But looking at this, he is either not on a lap or he's just not improving at all. He's running lean mixture. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. That's the Williams just getting out of the way. That'll be Gary on a down lap. Legend, I don't think, is improving. He's just trying to get experience here. 30.5 through the middle sector is not really that good enough from Legend. But with 4 minutes to go, Gary out on top, Jorg in second, and McCrew in third position. As we believe, we've got LMN on a lap now coming through turn 13.
I don't think he's on a push lap there, James. He's invalidated, so I think he's going to dive to the pit lane, and that's going to round off his middle run in the session. Now, though, we prepare for the final part of qualifying. As it stands, XL Gary again on top form, but Jorg has snatched pole positions at the death before this season after he narrowly beat Gary in Australia to that pole by 0.04 of a second, I believe the margin was. He's got a great chance, and again McCrew, he's been really eager to get going so far, out there on track already. Can he find that just under 2/10 that he needs? He was so strong last time out in Bahrain. Can he go better this time out? Gary on pole, can McCrew find those time? They're good friends away from the track, but bigger rivals though, I'd say. So we'll see what they can do. But Gary on top, we'll see if McCrew and Jorg or anyone else can topple it. It's been tight so far. Can anyone find that time to knock off the championship leader from that top spot?
McCrew honestly was fancying his chances coming into tonight. I was looking in the Discord just before this, and he was really confident. He was getting in some good laps. 1:14.4 currently in third. It's put him 0.04 of a second ahead of LMN in fourth position. But he's got to try and improve. Looking at where his timings are, that final sector is his key. He's quickest in the first. That third sector, though, is absolutely disastrous compared to Jorg and Gary ahead of him. Jorg with a 25.4, Gary with a 25.6, McCrew with nearly a 25.8 coming through the final sector, but he'd be hoping to try and improve out on track. 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Let me ride you on board once again with McCrew as he now runs coming through the final corner out on track and now opens up the DRS to start on another 4.6 kilometre lap here in Spain as he now runs down towards turn 1, reaching in excess of 200 mile an hour. That is a Renault just getting out of the way to the right hand side down the pit lane. So now comes through turn 1, then through turn 2, and then through turn 3. Doesn't look as committed, if I've got to be honest, coming through turn 3. Tries to thin the line through turn 3, and now through turn 4. Yeah, he's backed out. 21.1 through the first sector. He was down, and unfortunately for him, he is now hopefully going to try and improve on his lap with a minute and a half to go. I think it's the best decision possibly to back out and then try and get another lap in.
Yeah, exactly. If you even in a session as close as this, even just a tenth or two is going to knock you back a huge deal on what you're capable of, and I suspect that the crew is capable of much more than that. So I believe that the first driver to start a flying lap is HDU in this final part of the session. Gets right over hooked over the curb, going throughout turn number 2, and now sweeping through turn 3 again, running quite tight to the inside line. First sector is a 21.1 that actually completely matches his time from before. So we're going to see if he can try and eke out a little bit more throughout that second and third section. He's very late on the brakes in, going into turn 5, then opening up the throttle yet again to the kick-up sector down to the left of 7. You can see him then all over the curve on the inside. Not as committed though as we've seen some of the other drivers in this session. Now sweeping through turn 8 completely flat out. Now onto the outside curve, onto the DRS. Has he found time in the middle sector? Yes, he has. He's 3/10 up. Can put him right in the mix there with the likes of Caladra, maybe even Noisy, if he hooks up a really nice last sector here. So how is the run out of turn 12? Again, it's just a slight lack of commitment. He turns it very early then into turn 13, and that's going to really compromise his run. Can he continue to improve? He's caught the inside, trying to overcompensate, and that's him out the session. We're going to see now some of the top guards coming through. Gary on pole, can he make it? But Jorg, I can tell you now, is flying through the middle sector. He was a tenth and a half up in his time. This could be a stalking lap from Jorg, and his pole position, and by a big margin, over 1/10 of a second clear. And now we've got to see if anyone else can step up to the plate. Who's coming through yet, James?
Gary is at fastest than Jorg in the middle sector, and he's quicker in the first sector, so now Gary will be hoping to try and improve. He has a little bit of oversteer coming out the final corner. Let's see if the Williams can still improve. Comes across the line. No, he doesn't. And I think he might have invalidated possibly on that lap. Well, that final second was just so bad. Jorg is currently out on top. McCrew has gone for another lap. He's now around the final corner. Let's see what he can do. McCrew across the line. He stays in third. He improved on his lap time by over a 10, but a good lap from him. Scuba is on the lap just in behind LMN. Isotopic now around the final corner. Let's see if he can improve. And he goes up to third. Good lap there by Isotopic. Across the line he comes. Scuba is now, LMN has backed out the lap, so we'll ride him with Scuba, who's now coming through turn 12. There's not many improvements happening further down the field. Noisy up to 9th, and Caladra in 11th, I think, in the main ones, as B. Morgan has just gone into 10th, and Tionis jumps up into 6th quite late on there as well. But now Scuba around the final corner. Let's see what he can do. The former Division 2 champion comes across the line, and he doesn't improve. Well, I think he did improve, but he didn't improve his position. Scuba there in 8th. That is the end of qualifying. It is that man there, TTGA Jorg, out on top for Matt Tibos in 2nd, and Gary in 3rd position, just over a 10th of a second separating the top 3. And looking down at the rest of the field, just over a second separating the whole field.
Yeah, very close, very competitive, as we're used to seeing. Matt Tibos, though, we barely mentioned it. That was a great last improvement to put that Red Bull up on the front row of the grid alongside Jorg. It is a relatively long run into turn 1 as well, so there's definitely a scope for those positions to get shuffled up. And of course, with Jorg again on pole position, this man's 1 lap pace is nothing short of sensational out there on the lap. We'll see what he can pull out in the race, because even his dramatic pace so far this season hasn't rewarded him with a race victory. But he does get pole 700ths of a second clear. Matty Boss P2. Gary is P3 in the end. Last minute mistake, maybe costing him that pole position. Isotopic, a solid run to 4th place. McCrew again not improving at the end. He probably would have wanted more than 5th. He's 2/10 off pole. Tionis just behind in 6th on the 3rd row. Then on the 4th row is Element and Scuba behind, who also didn't improve at the death. Then Noisy and B Morgan round out the top 10, critically locked in on those soft tyres. The soft tyres, definitely not the strategy to be on. Nathan, Caladro, Volakongan, Sway, Alonso, Corboy, AJU and Legend round out the grid. But keep an eye out for those bottom 8 drivers, because the advantage of running an alternate strategy is huge around here. And so starting inside the top 10 isn't really as much of an advantage as you think, especially those guys starting towards the bottom end in 8th, 9th and 10th. Those guys are going to have their work cut out in a huge deal in this race.
Yeah, we saw in Division 1 on Tuesday where the top, I think the bottom 9 or 10 drivers went on a bit of an alternating strategy, and we saw a majority either go for the mediums or the hards. There was only, I think, 1 or 2 drivers on a set of soft compound of tyre, and that just comes to show the high tyre levels around this track. It's going to be fascinating, I think, to see how this is all going to unfold out on track. We are just getting ourselves, of course, ready lap, where I'll run you through, of course, the championship standings coming into tonight. But, of course, out on pole position is Jorg, isn't it, on pole? Mine just escaped me there for a second. You can tell I'm just switching in between things. My mind goes blank sometimes, honestly. But there we are. We've got about 10 seconds to go until the formation lap does begin. We'll run you through the driver's standings. It is Gary out on top, Jorg Schmidt in second, and Scuba in third coming into tonight. And I'll let you run that through on the left-hand side of the screen. And that will come up any second now as we begin the formation lap. Just waiting for Matt Tibos to get ready. And now we begin the formation lap. It is Jorg out on top, Matt Tibos second, Gary in third. Thank goodness I didn't make myself look like an absolute mug there, to be honest, in getting the man who finished in pole position wrong. But there, Gary to the top, to the standings, Jorg in second, but Jorg actually, with that pole position, is now ahead of Gary by 1 point. That is crucial. Scuba in third, with Trippy Jeff fourth, Caladre, Ryan, Nathan, B. Morgan, Corboy, and Isotopic rounding off the top 10, and to McGrew, Volakongan, LMN, Alonso, Noisy, Tionis, Matt Tibos, Sway, Just Chris, and Legend rounding off the top 20 guys out on track. And let's get into qualifying. Into qualifying, into the race, into the formation lap even. Goodness me, I'm not with it tonight. You can tell I was late to the party. Everyone actually down the bottom end of the field going for that set of medium compound tyres. Now the mediums can last for about the halfway stage sometimes, but we saw in Division 1, or I saw in Division 1 certainly, that they only last about 10 to 12 laps in occasions. That just comes to show the high tyre levels around this track.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that quite a lot of drivers in the Division 1 race were getting very close to puncture territory at the end of the race. I think the race winner was over 90% on tyre wear at the end of the race. I think you mentioned on stream. Yeah, there was certainly an element of tyre degradation around this track. There is no doubt about that, even for the guys on the alternate strategy. But of course, they have a much bigger advantage. Those guys on the soft tyres, they're ideally a track where it's difficult to overtake, going to run a one-stop strategy, soft to hard. But they're going to have to be really wary of all their surroundings, keeping their tyres in check, or otherwise they could get themselves right to the limit. You don't want to get punctures. That's the last thing you need. So these drivers need to look after their softs, look after their hards, and make sure they're keeping it running to the end of the race. And before we get on the grid, since I'm the regular here, I'm going to come to you. Turn the tables a little bit. James, what's your top 3 prediction for this race?
Oh, I was just about to ask you the same thing, but why not? I may as well make you a top 3 prediction. I'm going to go Jorg for the win. I think Gary will finish second, and I like the chances of McCrew in third from 5th position on the grid. But I won't come to you and bother you for a top 3 because we have got the final drivers now joining up on the grid right at the back. That's Legend just joining on, and now we're about to get going as we see the run down towards turn 1 there. Jorg is out on top, Matt Tibble second. Who's going to get the best start? The 5 red lights are about to come on here, I hope, in Spain. I hope. There we are. 5 red lights are now on. Goodness me. 4, round 3 of the championship here in TTML Division 2. And it's lights out and away we go. Matt Tibos, slightly quicker start than Jorg, but it's the second phase of the start that gets Jorg away, and he's out on top already by about 2 tenths running down. It's 3 wide and behind with Gary, Matt Tibos and Isotopic trying to thread through the middle. Matt Tibos down the inside. There's been a little bit of a pinch up there between them both. Luckily they get through okay. Racing Bull and McCrew and Tionis are going side by side just in behind as well. As they now fly through turn 3, McCrew run out wide. That's my prediction, going right off the outset there. And Noisy dropping down, B Morgan dropping down positions as well. But it's that man there, York, who leads through the first half of the lap from Gary in second, Matt Tibos third, Isotopic fourth, Tonius in fifth, Element in sixth, a little bit of a pinch point in behind, and Volokonkin and that Noisy, I think, making contact there as well.
Yeah, but there was damage that McCrew went into the back of Scuba, and he's picked up damage. So Nathan, has he got damage as well? I'm just looking into that midfield. See, the Williams driver also coming to blows on that first level. Londo's got damage as well, so it is all thrown way out the window. McCrew's going to fall back. Caladri's down the inside of the turn 10. The door is firmly shut then by the Dutchman, who even with front wing damage is eager to defend that 8th position, but we'll see what he does to the end of the lap. Up at the front though, York holds on to the front. My oh my, that was a tight squeeze going through turn number 1 then. Matt T-Boss was threatened from the outside by Gary, and Isotopic went down the middle. Isotopic ran out of it, and McCrew dives to the pit lane, and that is massively compromised his race. He's almost going to need a safety car to get himself back in it. So let's see, coming down the straight then, I saw this, I think that was Volokonkin moving past Nathan in the background then, as they all run into turn 1 for the second time in this race. They're barreling down now, but York still holds the lead, and Gary running with him. Those two have shared so many battles already throughout this season, but the Alfa Romeo still leads. We'll see if he can hold on to it. Long race ahead, and these guys are the soft tyres. Well, they want to race each other. They've got to be wary of that alternate strategy in mind. They've got to keep their tyres in check. Otherwise, they're going to be really on ice skates by the end of this stint and by the end of the race.
Yeah, McCrew had 51% of damage, by the way, and Alonso had 30-odd% of damage as well. 25% damage for Volokonkin and Nathan out of lap 1 as well. There's a predicted pit stop strategy appropriately, as Callboy has now gone through on Legend up to 14th position further down the field. But it's that man, Jorg, out in front. But I'll tell you what, Gary is really up for this tonight, and he's trying to fight. Speaking of trying to fight, I can see in the background Nathan and Sway are going side by side. AJ trying to get involved in that as well. Now coming through turn 12, we're right on board with 11th, 12th and 13th out on track. B. Morgan is in 10th, trying to challenge Volokonkin, obviously with that 25% damage on that left front wing, and now comes through the final corner. I thought Volokonkin was almost going to come into the pit lane there, as now running past the line for DRS now to be enabled. Nathan is into the pit lane, as now B. Morgan tries to size up a chance on Volokonkin running down in towards turn 1. But they haven't got enough DRS this point around. It's side by side though in the background between Legend and Noisy trying to make a noise down the inside of Legend, but Legend's trying to hold firm the Dane against the Dutchman. The Dutchman now down the inside line. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Noisy is through, and he's up into 14th position. Legend losing 2 positions for the price of 1 on that lap. Callboy through to 13th, and Noisy through, and he's up to 14th.
Yeah, great wheel-to-wheel racing, and that's something this track really promotes. I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do remember, the last league race we commentated around this track. And the wheel-to-wheel battles we saw there were simply phenomenal. So keep an eye out, drivers can go side by side throughout the entire first half of the lap. But DRS is now condensing the field together. Yellow's in the background then, and then that's Legend that's going off with the McLaren, spearing off at turn 7 and 8. And that's such a difficult complex. The car goes late and it gets away from the drivers, and a VSC deployed then very early here on lap 3. So the VSC out then, the drivers, the race pretty much neutralised, and I wonder if anyone's going to take that gamble to go for a 2-stop strategy. I don't suspect, but we'll see what everyone is going to go for. And Gary baits to the pit lane a little bit there, trying to, I think, put his rivals off. But it looks like just about everyone's staying out, apart from Volokonkin, who dives in the Ferrari. He goes in early. We'll see what he can make of that for the medium tyres. I do wonder if he picked up some damage, you know?
He did.
He did, so the Ferrari going in, getting that service, and it's a good timing then for the VSC. He can lose a bit less time. He's on hard tyres, but those surely are not going to get to the end of the race. 25% damage on the left front, so they may as well, to be honest, try and get in. So I randomly get an invite for Project Cars 2. Can you not see I'm commentating? God, Jorg out on top from Gary in second, Matt Tibos third, Isotopic in fourth, with Jonas fifth, Element in sixth, I should say, Scooper in seventh, Cladre B. Morgan now ninth because Volokonkin came into the pits, and Legend also into the pit lane with 100% damage on both of the tyres of course. Well, 100% damage throughout. He had no front wing entirely. Now we're back underway as Gary now comes onto the back of Jorg. Now opening up, DRS now re-enabled. He now running over the Irishman, and the Irishman in fact makes a mistake. I think he was trying to change his ERS there. Now Matt Tibos is going to try and get him down in towards turn 10. Luckily for Gary, he had enough in that, but I think he was trying to change the ERS coming through the corner, and that's why it forced him wide. He made a slight concentration error. He's still on the back of Jorg, but goodness me, that could have been a hell of a lot worse for him. The drivers are so mentally taxed throughout these races. Sometimes those mistakes can creep in. And Gary got away with that one. He's still chasing. Look at Isotopic though. Matt T-Boss was a little bit sloppy going throughout that final chicane. And now the Ferrari is going to try and rein him in, but he's too far away, I think. Sionis is behind, but we're seeing the nature of this track. With the DRS trains building up amongst the top 7, still very, very bunched up. So we're going to see if any movement happens in the field. They're very, very close going through turns 1, 2 and 3, but they hold firm for now. Further down the field, it's B. Morgan, who's slightly isolated here. Sway's chasing him down. Behind of him is Caladri. Caladri, you've got to say, is in a really good spot in this race. A few seconds off the race leaders. On medium tyres, he can shadow their strategy, run further up at the end of the set, and with that tyre advantage he's going to have, Caladri's in a really good position to really challenge these race leaders in the back half of the race.
Yeah, the IFR boys, I've got to say, in terms of league racing in general, have really been going places as of late, and Caladre is just one of those drivers that is just falling under and hopefully going to be trying to get the win out on track. He's 1.4 seconds, and look, he's catching the back of this train as well. Scuba is in behind. Scuba I feel sorry for, because he's got all of these guys to try and pass, but as we come through turns 11 and 12, bit of a moment there. I think Gary was trying to have a look at York, and York made a mistake.
Yeah, going through turn 12, Gary got close enough to think about the inside lane. It's right on the back of him. Going through turn 14, York punches over the final corner. Power is clear in the Alfa Romeo, but Gary's using overtake, but so is York though. These guys eager to get any edge they can on each other, but Gary has a great run, heading towards turn 1, goes to the inside lane, does the Williams and the championship leader, going to the inside lane, gets the move done. Gary now leads the Grand Prix. Brilliant stuff, and further down the field, Sway moving past B. Morgan. You're already seeing the mediums come into play. Sway, a little bit of movement here, going to turn 2, but the dirty air is going to hold back Morgan, who has to drop out of it. Sway moving up, and Caladri trying to come up towards these drivers in front. He was on pace, in fact quicker than most of the guys in the trade in front on the last lap there. 19.0 was his lap time. Scuba ahead for reference, dead a 119.2, so you can see the difference in pace already, and the medium's coming into it. Caladri is going to climb onto the back of him. He will lose out a little bit at the midpoint due to the undercut, but you suspect he's in a really good space, a very good place to make this work, as Gary though looks to have some stellar pace up at the front. Completely clear, and so far York is struggling to live with the championship leader right now.
He's got 1.26 laps of fuel left at this point in the race, and he's got slightly less than York by about half a litre of fuel. So that's why he's beginning to pull away. York is 9/10 behind, and York actually has got fresher tyres compared to everyone in the top 7. So it is absolutely fascinating to see why he got overtaken there when he's got the fresher tyres out on track. And that fresher tyres, of course, he's got 45% on that front left. The man in behind him is challenging for second. Matt Tibos has got 58% on that front left tyre. As we now come through turn 1, Gary leading from York in second, Matt Tibos in third. Isotopic fourth with Jonas in fifth. His yellow flag in sector 2, and Legend has crashed out of the race. Is that through turn 9 by any chance?
Yeah, and another VSC deployed in this race, neutralising it yet again here. So we'll see how long this stays out, but gutting for Legend. What a nightmare event this has been for the McLaren drivers so far tonight. And so everyone now forming into line. Looks like York is sitting off the back, actually. Seems to have dropped back a little bit. From so Gary up in the race lead. Of course, he is dropping off that delta, but you suspect as well that Gary looks to pull a little bit. So we'll see if York's going to be dropping back a little bit. You mentioned as well York's tyre wear. Is that maybe something to do with his driving style? Just trying to look after the tyres where everyone around him's pushing. You maybe see towards the end of the stint that he might start coming back towards these guys. So we'll see what he can do. But Gary at the moment looks very, very strong. These guys, actually, the VSC is still out there. We'll see when they go green. But some of these guys are actually getting to the stage where they may want to come in. You don't want to come in too early here, but at the same time, you don't want to give up some track position by going in too late. So now they're heading towards the pit lane, and I wonder what the strategies are going to be here now. Heading out. We got green, and B. Morgan has given himself a penalty, as now we get back to racing straight away, and Matt T-Boss has a phenomenal run in the Alfa Romeo. Scuba Edison dives in from the back of the train, but look at Matt T-Boss to the outside of York. He is cruising round the outside, and there's nothing York can do to hold him back. Through goes Matt T-Boss up in a second place. The Red Bull flying in this early stage of the race, and he is through as well. So now York's going to have to try and fight back, but Scuba in, being Morgan in further back, and I think Scuba's actually lost out. No, this is Morgan not pitting in the red. No, actually, he's gotten through. For me, he's not changed his tyres. I'm puzzled by this. The red goes back out.
He's got a drive-through.
Ah, yes, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, he's got a drive-through. Sway also picked up a drive-through for speeding under the VSC, so that's why you can see the penalty next to his name. It is still Gary, though, out on top. Matt Tibos in second, getting the move done on Jorg. A fantastic stuff from him, as now we're about to get a Scandinavian battle out on track between OWR and TNR, appropriately. Isotopic in fourth and Tionis in fifth. Isotopic, of course, was Division 3 champion last season. Tionis, a well-driven driver in the second half of the season in Division 2. So it's going to be fascinating to see how these are going to cope. They're on the back of this train. Speaking again on the back of the train, Comadre has now arrived, and now he's got a little bit of a choice. He's got the NER man in front on a set of soft compound tyres, as we see the Ferrari come into the pit lane of Isotopic. Gary also in, and Lemon also in, LMN also in as well, as now Coladre is promoted up into fourth, and Matt Tibos leads the way by a full second now out on track from York in second, Tionis in third. But let's run on board with Gary. Into the pit lane he comes, and I would imagine he'll go on to a set of the hard compound tyres to try and make that one-stop last, and that's exactly what he's done, the Irishman, the championship leader, in as LMN got held up by Isotopic slightly into the pit lane there as well.
I'm looking down the road there for where Scuba's going to actually be Morgan as well after that drive-through. Scuba gets alongside the Renault, and now he's looking towards the outside of LMN, breaks it very late. Is he going to run around the outside? Now inside of turn 2. Red Bull and AlphaTauri going at it, still in a turn 3. The inside lane with LMN. Can he run it? Round the outside to Scuba. They are absolutely wheel-to-wheel level into the second sector. And turn 4. Round the outside goes Scuba again. Gets cold tires on the AlphaTauri. So Scuba sweeps around the outside, claims the inside lane, and gets ahead. Brilliant racing, brilliant battling, and a brilliant move out of the pit lane. Scuba gets round the outside of LMN, now up in a 10th place on the road. Great manoeuvre, but LMN has the fresher tires, will try and go back. But Scuba's on the car his work, he's gained a little bit. Now he needs to get on the back of Isotopic, and Gary pulling clear of this race. He's got that gap that he needs. Now Matt Tibos comes in. We'll see if he can stay within that range of Gary, but his tires were dying. He was doing like 80% of that front left. He pushed those tires right to the limit.
Yeah, he is into the pit lane, 80%, as you say, 63% on the front right as well. It is that front left that takes the hits around the track as well. But can we just talk about Scuba and LMN coming out the pit lane? That's honestly the best piece of driving, one-on-one driving that I've seen so far this season in any division. And it takes a lot for me to say that, as we have got side by side. Running down the straight, Volokongan is through on B, Morgan the Ferrari, and now LMN trying to get onto the back of Scuba. Isotopic and Tionis are side by side as well, coming through turns 1 and 2, and Isotopic, I think, has held on to that position from Tionis, and Tionis, I think, has he just came fresh out the pit lane? I think he has, yeah, so Tionis just coming out the pit lane, Isotopic in front of him. Isotopic's got warmer tyres at this point to begin to pull away, but Tionis in 9th, trying his utmost to try and get onto the back of Isotopic. But the advantage for these guys is, if Isotopic drags Tionis into this, they're going to be on the back of Matt Tibos and Sway, as Nathan is out of the session coming in through the middle sector.
And another VSC in third in the race. And look at where Jorg is. Look at where Jorg is, James. He's coming out to the pit lane now. The Alfa Romeo dives in, and this has saved his race. Coladre is well behind, is right there with him. So he's gone off those medium tires. He's going to look to try. Well, he's not going to stay. All the medium runners are going to come in. Yes, James. So now these guys are all going to get a monumental boost in this race. Jorg was staying out. He looked after those tyres, and now, with a bit of luck, it's paying dividends. Now emerging from his pit box, they go green. Are they going to hold the race lead, though? Because Gary's going to have a lot of momentum. Going down the straight with Matt Tibos with him. Watch the cars emerging from the pit lane. It's not going to be much in it, but it's still going to be the lead for TTG Jorg, and Coladre has worked himself into second place remarkably. AGU comes out just in front of Isotopic as well, and now further back, Scuba moving past Coreboy out the pit lane just behind, couldn't quite get past the Red Bull. Now the race almost completely neutralised up at the front, but Jorg jumping to the front, and Coladre now going with him. Sensational, my, as this race works towards the AlphaTauri. Started 12th, now runs second on better tyre footing than the majority of the net racers. He's right in this one, but he makes a mistake there, turn 8, just about holds on to it.
He just about holds on to it now. Gary catches up to within 4 tenths on the back of Coladre, but Jorg I've got to say, if that wasn't for the VSC, I think he would have been down in something like 5th or 6th place at this stage, because he's now behind, he's now in front of Caladre. Caladre as well, helped massively by this strategy and by this third VSC that we've had. It's almost as if we're going toward Belgium of Division 5 last season, to that point of the VSCs being deployed, and how we don't want to repeat that. Jorg leads the way from Caladre second. We're third of the way through the race. Gary there in third, with Matt Tibbles in fourth, Sway in fifth, AJ in sixth. But now everyone is really on the back of each other's. Jonas is now looking at the back of Isotopic. I don't think he's going to be close enough down in towards turn one. The big disadvantage for everyone now is it's going to be so difficult to try and overtake out on track, because the front four separated by just over 2 seconds, then a bit of a gap, and then Isotopic, who's now onto the back of AJ. These guys are catching back up, and this spans all the way down to Noisy, and it's only going to bring the likes of McCrew and Alonso into play as well. So it's fascinating to watch how this race is going to unfold.
And Sway, up in 5th place, is breaking this race into 2 groups. The top 4 are able to break away now, because he is holding them all back on those much older medium tyres. So now they're gonna have to go with it. But AJ is struggling. But down the field is that Carboy off. Goes to turn 8, emerges onto the track, but he's dropped right to the back of the train now. Gutting for the Mercedes. You mentioned, I'm just looking visually there, because I don't think it's showing up on my task. But I think he's just about got away with it. He's gotten away with it, yes, James.
Yep, no damage at all for Callboy. I checked that. Yep, no damage at all. He's fresh out the pit lane as well, so that's probably a little bit of cold tyres, maybe catching on the curb as well from Callboy. And now he's got to do his hard work all over again. Noisy, in the meantime, is trying to make some noise. He's on the back of Volakongan. That's a terrible pun, I know. I've said it for the second time tonight. Is now he ranges up on Volakongan, and it's about to get the move done. Then in towards turn 1, and it's already halfway done down the straight. And then behind as well, McCrew is now going to size up Callboy, and McCrew is now through. He was at the top end of the field, now down to 13th as a result of the VSCs. He's now through on Callboy, and he's through, and he's up into 13th. But look at the top end of the field. Jorg, Caladre, Gary, Matt Tibos. Matt Tibos now trying to pressurise Gary, but Gary pressurising Caladre as well. Down in towards turn 6. Lap 13 out of 33. It's Jorg who leads from Caladre in second, Gary in third, and now Matt Tibos in fourth, just falling in behind. I've got to be honest and say, swaying behind is keeping up with these guys. 1.8 seconds. He hasn't lost that much time at all. But those guys in behind, as Sway picks up a 3-second time penalty, those guys in behind, AJ Isotopic and Tionis more immediately, are going to try and struggle his way past Sway. But I think Sway, if I'm not mistaken, from Division 1, as Gary makes his mistake. Caladre, sorry, makes a mistake, and there's a bit of contact. And now Matt Tibos down the inside through 13. And now the Irishman is going to try and fight back, and he does fight back. How on earth has he done that? Gary is through, and he's up into 3rd position. Got a little bit of an oversteer moment from Caladre. Gary then went into the back of him, no damage picked up, and now Matt Tibos is going to try and run side by side, but the Irishman pulls away from the Brits, out in 3rd position, and now Gary is still 3rd, and Matt Tibos is still 4th, as AJ now is through on Sway, and he's up into 5th.
Breezes past the turbo, does the McLaren, and my oh my, somehow that error from Caladre and the subsequent holding up of Gary has not really changed anything in this lead fight. But AGU getting through, we'll see what pace he has to muster up and try and chase down the race leaders. Update on warnings, because we haven't seen many penalties. I can confirm that amongst the top 4, everyone's pretty clean apart from Caladre, who holds 2 warnings as it stands, so he is going to have to be wary. As it stands, you're completely clean. Both Gary and Matt Tibos currently with just the 1 warning as it stands, and now behind we're going to see AGU, who looks really pacey in that McLaren, it must be said, trying to reel in that pack ahead. He was quicker than virtually all of the race leaders last lap. We'll see if he can keep that momentum going. It's now Isotopic, I suspect, is going to try and follow through past the Mercedes to sell some life in those tires. He wants to keep them going for a little while longer, I suspect. Still though, Jorg leads the way, pulling clear as it stands, as the field slowly but surely bunching up now. When is Sway going to dive in to sort of break this up? Looks like he is still staying out for another lap at the Mercedes, and it's up tempo behind to try and get through, to chase him down, but it's so difficult to overtake here when you're in a DRS train and you're holding on at the front. Caladre looks pretty, I'd say, content to sit in that 2nd place. Gary, though, I'd say, looks a little bit quicker, even though he's got older tyres. He's sitting with him at the moment, but really, even though he's got some speed under him now, those older tyres are going to really cost at the end of the race. He's already put almost 20% on that front left, as McCrew goes off in the background. They are turned to spearing off, and after big talk all the way throughout the week, after a great qualifying, but a nightmare race now down into 15th. He's going to need a full safety car if he wants to get back in this race now.
Yep, no damage I don't think from a crew either. I think he's hit the wall side on, luckily. And he's spun again, and he's hit the wall, and he's out of the race. Ooh. And a VSC. Well, how on earth is that a VSC when he crashed on track? VSC has been deployed once again. And Jorg is the one that's still the beneficiary out of it all, from Caladre in second, Gary third, Matt Tibos in fourth. But a fourth VSC out on track, and we haven't even reached the halfway stage yet. I'm getting a sense of deja vu, perhaps, here.
That is rather remarkable, and I'm very confused as to how particularly that first one was enough for a VSC. I'm surprised we haven't seen a full safety car from some of the big shots that we've seen so far. Absolutely bizarre events that we're seeing out there on track. But we got to watch, because these guys are running in a train. They could jump each other. We'll see who's going to time it the best. Matt Tibos is right there with him, so he does take that opportunity to dive in, and he's going to go for her. So it'll be fresher, but I'm not sure if he's going to have a massive pace advantage. And so they're all going to go through. Now we get back to racing here. Are we going to see any moves? Everyone holding around is Caladre as he goes off there, turn two, goes off there, and now that's going to drop it back then. As they recruit out the session altogether. Look, now an Isotopic trying to draw alongside the AlphaTauri, going into turn 4, claims the inside line. Rooney inside the AlphaTauri, tries to run, can't get through. Up in 5th place, goes Isotopic. Absolute nightmare for Caladre, tries to dive it back down the inside. At turn 5, there's no way through. Through goes Isotopic, and Caladre with one mistake goes from second to second, and that's dramatically shaking things up. Jorg has a good lead, but now Gary trying to come up towards him. What a critical effort from Caladre. He had such a good race, and now he's out of the rhythm. He's got to get back in it because Tionis is attacking. Looking to the inside. Doesn't go at it just yet, but Caladre, that's really broken things up. Now AJU's with the front runner, so he's managed to gain on them. Looks like he has good pace. See what he can make of it. Jorg still leads the way. Gary right in behind him, but Matt Tibos looks to be really pacey. He has not let Gary off so far this race. Still right at the back of the Williams. Gets a bit of a wiggle on, but I think he'll hold on to it for now. But Matt Tibos looking pacey. Jorg still leads those who reach the halfway point. It's Isotopic dropping down the order. He's gone off there, turn 14, and now he spears it round. He has got damage on that car. So he has had a dramatic incident, and now to the inside. Corgan gets alongside his teammate, backs out of it. Another error, and these errors creeping in. They're really dicing up the field there, spreading out the order, and still these guys up at the front. But that tells me it's low tire grip out there. These drivers going to have to be wary of each other. Jorg still leads, but judging by what we've seen the last lap, anyone could go off. These drivers going to have to be so wary out there.
Just to report on Isotopic, by the way, no damage, in fact, from Isotopic. I don't know how he didn't get any damage, but Isotopic hasn't got any damage according to our task system, of course. He's down in 10, Wolakongan just in behind. I think, to be honest, Isotopic, Wolakongan's probably let him go because he's on fresher tyres than him. He actually picked up a 3-second time penalty, just speaking about him. But Jorg leading the way from Gary in second, Matt Tibos in third, AJ in fourth. If there's anything about AJ, one thing I've noticed in this race is he's taken that consistency from qualifying, which never at all suited him last season, and now he's right on the back, fighting out for a potential win here in Spain. But more than halfway through, it is Jorg who leads. Gary in second, Matt Tibos in third, then Caladre in fourth. But Tionis now trying to line up at the Dane in front of him as now we run down in towards turn 1 once again. Let's see what Tionis can do. Matt Tibos is not close enough to Gary, just in front, and now Tionis pulls the inside line. Caladre is going to try and defend, but he breezes across onto the left-hand side of the track. It should be Tionis' move. Caladre is still looking in here. Caladre is trying to go all the way around the outside. Surely he cannot turn. A negative intro positive. Tionis flings them out wide, coming to the off-camber of the corner, and Tionis has got the move done. Oh, has he? As Caladre tries to lock in there. Goodness me, inches apart from contact, and Tionis is now through. Surely, but I'm not going to preempt myself as Caladre could have a go. Now I can preempt myself. Tionis is through, and he's up into 5th position. Really good attacking driving as well from Caladre to try and get the move done. But Tionis, on that fresher tyres, that mistake is just creeping into his confidence, I think, Caladre. And Tionis is through, and he's up into 5th, and now he can try and catch AJ in 4th.
He's got 1.5 seconds to make up, and he's very low on the RS. He's practically drained it. So I think he's going to need some good fortune with those race leaders battling it out. But for the second time in this race, Gary is chasing down Jorg. The Irishman is slowly but surely cutting to the Dutchman's lead. And now, for yet again, out there on track, 2 potential championship contenders are going to go wheel to wheel here. But as I say that, Jorg punches emphatically off a turn 15 and going up the road. But Gary is using his overtake trying to get up to him. I think he may be moving too far away, but let's see. He's got a great run. Fabulous overspeed. Can he get a move done? No. He's looking to the inside line. He's going to go for it, I think. He's got it now. Commence gets a penalty on the inside line. Gary with a penalty. Unbelievable. He went for the inside line. Morgan going over the back of the field. Re-emerges well off the rear. But my, oh my, Gary went for that late, but that's cost him dear. Now, with a penalty in his name, and all of a sudden York, who only has one warning in this race, has a huge advantage at the front. York looks good for this one. Can he finally get a first victory here? But he's still got so much pressure from behind.
That's cost him, to be honest, I think, Gary, because he just tried to go for the move down the inside. Jorg was not giving him any room whatsoever. And fair intentions to Jorg, he had the right away of the corner. He could have just forced off Gary, which he did, into the inside curve, let him pick up a 3-second top, and then Gary nearly runs into the back rim, down and towards turn 10, but now Jorg leading the way from Gary in second, Matt Tibos in third, AJ fourth, Jonas now joins the party in fifth, and Caladre not too far off this either. We could get, honestly, apart from Noisy, who's on a set of mediums, top 8 could be within about 5 seconds at this point, which is absolutely unheard of as we come here in Spain, as now Jorg absolutely flies at the final corner. He's 6/10 clear. He's going to be well ahead compared to Gary, but looking in behind, AJ trying to look up at Matt Tibos, and actually Gary's got a tremendous run on Jorg, and he is going to go for it this time. Can the Irishman get the move done? Down the inside, third time's a charm, he's through, the Irishman is through, and he's into the lead of the race. Fair play to Gary. Jorg backed out of that move very late on indeed, similar to what we saw earlier on in the race, and Gary retakes Jorg for the lead of the race. If there's anything about Gary, he does not give up without a fight.
But now he has a mammoth task on his hands to try and pull out that advantage that he needs. York can try and stay in that DRS rate. He's got more battery to his name as well to deploy. So Gary needs some phenomenal race pace, and he's got the oldest tires out of this front group, so he's got to dig in here. He's got to fly. York merely has to stay with him and defend from the cars behind, but they're getting it all lined up as Caladri picks up a penalty on the outside of turn 9. Has Scuba and the Red Bull trying to chase him down as AJ continuing to threaten, continuing to charge. At the third place, Red Bull and Matty Voss, who's chasing down York. He's not out of this either. They are all bunching up. A phenomenal battle at the front of the field is shaking up here. As we near the final stages of the race, it's flown by. Despite all the BSCs, we still have a huge race in our hands. Who's going to come in on top here today? Up at the front, York is going to try and hold on to this, but at the moment, Matt T-Boss has the pace, but he's been struggling to make those overtakes work. Again, going into turn 1, he holds station behind the Alfa Romeo, who runs with Gary. Gary tries, he needs a map of it. AGU's gone over the back. He's gone over and he's dropped to the back of the train. AGU now almost out of it then. As now Scuba attacking Caladri to the outside of turn 4. Can he run the long way round like he did earlier in the race? Swimming round out to the inside line of turn 5. Scuba going for 5th place. Is going to get 5th place. Bit of contact between them. Scuba runs in deep and he'll hold on to it. Absolutely brilliant. Sensational from Scuba. There is inside the top 5 as Vola Congan moves past EGU as well. Gutting for the McLaren. He's got damage. He's got 44% damage. Now to the back of the field. You have to feel for him. He was working himself right into that fight. Now it's all falling away from him, and now he needs a miracle to get back into this race.
Elemen, Caladre trying to go on his teammate here, and now Noisy is coming out of absolutely nowhere. That's down the inside through turn 12. That's brilliant from Noisy. Brilliant stuff by Noisy. He might be on a set of mediums, he might be on wearing tyres, but my God, that is absolutely brilliant. It looked almost as if Lemon had just got into the back of Caladre slightly, forced Noisy down the inside line. He thought, he's coming through, mate. He's through and he's up into 7th, and now we could challenge actually on the other AlphaTauri. 2 for the price of 1. Noisy is now through on the other AlphaTauri. The 2 sister cars absolutely swamped by Noisy, and Noisy is through and he's up into 6th position. If that doesn't get you up the edge of your feet, on the edge of your seat in fact, then I don't know what will.
That was sensational! Unbelievable! Noisy moving through. He may not be in this race strategically, but he's going to fight for every place. And that was a superb example of opportunistic driving. Little look up though, Caladra trying to get up to him. Look at the front though. Gary's not out of this just yet. He's pulling clear. 1.2 seconds is the gap. What phenomenal pace and speed from the race leader. And he may not be out of this just yet. He's pulling clear, but he needs to get 3 seconds. Jorg, now, no DRS to defend himself. He's got ERS to his name, but he's got pressure as well from behind of the Red Bull and Matt T-Boss hunting him down. So that battle over second on the road could still be about for the race win. This is far from over. Gary, he's put in a phenomenal effort to pull clear. Now he needs to keep it going. He cannot let off for even one lap. Otherwise, Jorg is back there with him. But now Matt T-Boss with the overtake on, trying to get up to the second place car. He's looking for this now. Is he going to go to the outside line? Yes, he is. Off of DRS. Now running round outside Matt T-Boss for second place. Running through. That is a phenomenal overtake. What a move from Matt T-Boss. Now it's in second place. And now the race win beckons. He's going to try and stay with Gary. He's looked quick throughout the entire race. He baited his time. He waited for this moment, and the moment came, and now forward goes the Red Bull. 1.5 seconds he's going to hold on to win this race. He's pulling clear. What a move from Matt T-Boss. That was phenomenal.
If Matt T-Boss didn't get the move done, I would have said that Jorg, I think, will actually still win this because he's got 12% fresher tyres than Gary at this stage and 13% quicker than Matt T-Boss at this stage, or fresher tyres at this stage. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Jonas has got 42, so he's not entirely out of this either. Of course, it's the front left that's taking the hit, and that's what we're referencing there. But Gary, out in front, 1.5 seconds. He is pulling away, but I've got to be honest and say, I don't think he's going that quick enough to try and pull away by 3 seconds. You watch, I'll probably end up eating my own words right at the end of this as the slithering snake of the train begins with Jonas trying to catch onto the back of Jorg down in towards turn 4, but Jorg is still trying to catch Matt T-Boss into second. Further down the field, Caladre is trying to get onto the back of Noisy, and Noisy is essentially splitting this race again in two with Caladre, LMN, Isotopic and Volokongan in behind. How is Volokongan going to get into the end of this race with 19 lap old tyres at this point? I'm going to tell you now, I think Gary's tyres will be 90% by the end of this race. If not him, it'll certainly be Matt T-Boss.
Oh, don't forget, Matt T-Boss has a lap fresher tyres, but they're already got more wear on them. So Matt T-Boss, even though he's in such a good place now, looks to be taking more life out of his tyres than pretty much any other driver in the race. So Jorg might not be out of this one just yet, but his pace just doesn't look as strong as the other front runners now. Tiones is getting back up towards him, and the Renault right up behind him. He's got much more confidence on the brakes. He's got less grip under him theoretically, but he's using it to greater effect, and now he has the third place, man, well within his sights. Matt T-Boss, for the moment, though, looks to have some strong pace, and he's now breaking off Jorg. So Jorg, at the moment, just doesn't seem to have the pace. He's maybe just looking after his tyres. But as it stands, he's really struggling out there. Up in the front, Gary crosses the line. Behind the Matt T-Boss, and now Scuba looking at Tiones, trying to get through the Red Bull, trying to spring a surprise. Now, with DRS to the inside, as he brave on the brakes, Tiones covers it off. Great defensive driving from Tiones. He holds on to that fourth place just about. I'm going to give an update on the race. Gary's last lap was an 18.2, but Matt T-Boss behind was a 17.9. He's flying still at the moment. Matt T-Boss right in. The question is, though, can those tires carry him to the end of the race? He's going to be right on the limit by the end here.
He will be, and so will Gary, and I think that's why Jorg, I think, is still within a chance of winning this, but he is now falling off the back of Matt T-Boss, and now Matt T-Boss has landed himself in a bit of no man's land, essentially out on track. But Scuba, I think, is looking quicker out of these three for third, fourth, and fifth at this stage. Might have not necessarily looked quick through there, but now Jonas onto the back of Jorg, running down in towards turn 10, but not good enough for the move. I'm still unbelievably surprised that Noisy is still in 6th position after everything that is going on. He is definitely not going to get to the end of the race. I mean, I'm going to look at his tyres now and see 71% at this point. Probably that'll update slightly, but Noisy 71% worn tyres on this stage of the lap and this stage of the race, and that's why he's not getting into the end of the race. He's into the pit lane. Spot on. Jonas on the back of Jorg.
He goes straight through as well. That was phenomenal overtaking. And Tiones, well, his tyres, they may not be the freshest, but they are fresher than the top two, and he's looked quick. He's made his way through the field. Tiones is not out of this just yet. So can Norwegian pull himself through? Scuba head behind, can't quite follow through though. Noisy's now at the pit lane. He's got soft tyres on. He's a long way off the back, but we'll see what he can do with those tyres, and how far can he carry them, how much pace can he get out of that set of soft tyres. Up at the front, Gary still desperately trying to pull out that gap, but it's not enough as it stands. Matt Timos hanging with him, so we'll see how this goes. But to be honest, the way the tire strategies and the way the tire degradation works in this track is going to be so unpredictable. Scuba in 5th place is on the move, but he's now 60%. He's getting towards that danger area, that danger zone. The last few laps, these guys are going to have to tiptoe around the track, where I think Tionis and Jorg are now doing this just yet. Matt Timos is in such a good position right now, but just overstepping that limit, overstepping it, getting some oversteer that as a tire grip falls away from him, could drop him back. So this race hangs on a knife edge. Anyone can win this race. Gary leading the way. He needs to continue pulling out, but at the moment Matt Timos is looking with him. The championship leader looks like he may not win this one. It's Tionis fastest lap. He's flying up to the top 2.
B. Morgan, I think, has ran. He's lost his front wing. Is that going to be another B? I see. Oh, we've got a safety car. At last, we've got a safety car. Full front wing damage. Why didn't that happen with McCrew? And look who's just came into the pits. Sway has just came into the pit lane as well. That could be absolutely crucial for him. But at full has just turned this race on a complete and utter knife edge here in Spain. Rain in Spain falls mainly on the plane. Screw that. It is Gary who leads from Matt Timos in 2nd, Tionis in 3rd. And I've got to be honest and say, we are now in possibly for 4 laps worth of racing. I think we'll go on about lap 30, I would imagine. 4 laps worth of racing. This race is going to come down to the absolute wire. And unfortunately for Gary, he is going to be one that's cost the win.
Yeah, that gap that he had eradicated. That is so gutting, and now it gets absolutely thrown in the air. Now, what's the dilemma now these drivers have? Tyres or track position? For the guys down the back of the grid. Yeah, you do mention that, James, but we're going to see what the race leaders can do. They've got more to lose. So how many drivers are going to go in? Could we see a full field diving into the pit lane here on the 27th lap? The race is opened up. Yeah, I do hope so. We can have an absolutely brilliant sprint race on our hands. Gary, feints it, doesn't go to the pit lane, and it's Tionis who's taking the risk. He's taking the gamble. Jorg stays out, Scuba ahead, Caladri stays out. It's a mix of strategies here, and now there's going to be about 4 or 5 drivers who are promoted to the further race. So Isotopic again, the Ferraris are stacking, but I think that may well be the better call for him. Volakonga's going to lose out because Corboy's in behind him. Noisy, where does he emerge? This race has been thrown all up in his head. The top 5 have track position, but they'll have so much less grip though. Surely Scuba and all the rest are going to cruise up, and Tionis got held up in the pits. So Scuba has been thrown right to the forefront now in the Spanish Grand Prix.
He has indeed, and what's crucial, I think, with Scuba is now he is going to be the man on the quickest tyres. But like we saw in Division 1, anything can happen. We saw very late pit stops on a set of softs, and they couldn't get past. Can Scuba do what guys in Division 1 didn't do and try and get past the likes of LMN, Caladri, Jorg, Matt Timos and Gary for a possible race win out on track? Having a look at the penalties as well, Gary, Caladri, Isotopic, Noisy, Cowboy, Sway and AJ have all picked up penalties so far in this race. But now we're about to get going. And one thing that I can notice actually, and that might just affect some of the guys out on track, is possibly those top 5 who was on a set of hard compound of tyres, the sun is coming out. It's going to favour the soft runner of Scuba in behind. How is Scuba going to unfold with this? Are we going to still see a fantastic race, or are we going to see Scuba pull off what could be an impossible win?
Let's see what he can do. At 5 cars to get through, can he knock them all down? Of course, there will be no DRS pretty much until the last couple of laps of the race, so that'll hold it back. We should get back to racing on the next lap. E. Morgan's quite a long way off the back of the field, so hopefully he gets with us and we can get back to proceedings. Gary, though, now is going to be in control. Gary has driven such a good race, and so is Matt Timos in behind him. But yeah, this has really shaken things up. Matt Timos has got an opportunity as well, as has Gary, as has LMN, who's also struggling on tyres. These guys can now save it, and they should get to the end with a little bit more tyre grip than they otherwise would have had. But how much is staying out going to cost them here? Scuba in 6th place is perfectly poised to move through. They can see the tyre grip is going to massively favour him in these first few laps. after we get underway. You suspect that he's going to be flying through seconds a lap faster, but can he use that second lap advantage he's going to have over the cars in front to make these overtakes? Because even if with the tire grip advantage, it's tough to overtake around here. There's only a few real opportunities to get through. So no, his tires are absolutely tremendously stronger than everyone else. Making these overtakes is going to be difficult, so the likes of Matt T-Boss's teammate are not out of this just yet.
Like I always say around this track, it's one thing to get onto the back of a driver, it's another thing to try and get past around this track, and that's what's going to be the key to Scuba. He has got to have a tremendous run here on the back of LMN. As I predicted, we're going to get 4 laps worth of racing. The safety car is in this lap, and it is now Gary, who is the virtual Bert Marlander, out on track. He essentially is the safety car at this point, as we see the beautiful sunshine now coming here in sunny Spain, just on the outskirts of Barcelona. Well, it's nowhere near Barcelona, to be honest, this track, but Gary out on top for Matt Tibble second, Jorg in third. These guys have got to get tremendous starts. If I favour anyone at this point, it would be Gary, but Scuba is going to be the quickest out of everyone. Watch out for Tionis, watch out for Isotopic, Noisy, Cowboy. I could go on and on and on. But Gary now says go, and he now comes out of the final 2 corners through 14, 15, and then through 16. Noisy has actually had a bit of a moment underneath the safety car, I think, but we're back underway, and it is Gary who leads across the line, but it's a 4/10 gap. But look at Scuba, right on the back of LMN. He's going to try and get past the sister car, the Red Bull, now on the back of the AlphaTauri in front of Caladre, weaving. Oh, and LMN cuts it across, but Scuba's still going to have it around the outside. Can he get the move done? No, and LMN just cuts the door shut. As now Tionis is now going to get onto the back of this as well. Jorg is going side by side with Matt Tibbos coming out of turn 3. Can Jorg get the run? Surely not around the outside of turn 4. This is them. But now Jorg will try and switch it back. Matt Tibbos' tyres are absolutely shot as Jorg now tries to fend off to try and go around the outside. Scuba is through an LMN. He's through and he's in the 5th position, but it's Gary who leads. Matt Tibbos second. Jorg in third. 3.5 laps to go.
Let's see it now. What does Scuba have in store for us? One move done. Now it's Caladre in his sights. And the AlphaTauri. You suspect he's going to have more tire grip underneath him. Using the overtake, but he's sensible. He doesn't want to go just yet. Caladre looking to the inside of Jordan. It's further back to Jonas on the move. Down the inside of LMN. Getting alongside and past the AlphaTauri. And Isotopic follows through to turn 11. Gets the call in the shape of the Ferrari. Turns in and gets through. Brilliant stuff. And they both go through. And now Tionis is right at this. He's got Scuba firmly in his sights. Now, moving on to the 31st lap, just 3 to go, and now Scuba is moving with him, but he's de-ringed to the end of the lap. Doesn't have the early advantage, now it kicks in. Now he chases down the second of the AlphaTauris, who defends the inside line. It's Caladre. Can Scuba go all the way into the turn 1? He's going late on the brakes now, almost touching through turn 2. Caladre holds it around the outside. The overspeed on the exit is going to be with Scuba, but a great run for Caladre. He's going to hold it back, put on the overtake, and the AlphaTauri holds on. Scuba has to hold back for now. He's got less ERS, so he's running out of time. And up the road, Jorg going round. Jorg spearing off to the side of the track, and now dropping in a 7th place. Jorg well down the field now. Scuba trying to get back at Caladre. Can't quite get through. Still, Matt T-Boss holding that advantage. He's sticking with Gary exactly what he needs to do. Scuba, no DRS yet. Can't quite follow through, and Tionis right there with him. Can't get through on the inside line. He breaks so much later, but he's too far back. Too far gone. Can't get alongside it. Still Caladre is holding it back. Just over 2 laps to go. And now Scuba getting the run out of turn 12. Looks the inside line, holds back. But we know he's going to have that advantage. Coming down the straight, but Caladre has saved the ZRS for this moment. And now he punches clear. Can he hold on to this? Now, Scuba getting up to him. Has a phenomenal slipstream. Does the Red Bull? Can he pull through then? It's critical he gets through now. It's now or never. And now to the inside, Scuba looking for 3rd place alongside a pass. Scuba now ended to 3rd place then. That's 3 overtakes done. 2 overtakes, sorry. 1 more to go. You suspect for the race win. Matt T-Boss up front. Can he hold on to this? The Red Bulls now going out for the race win. Tionis alongside Caladre. Down the inside of turn 4. They make contact. They're going to go side by side now. Going into turn 5. The Red on the outside line. Can he go all the way round? He's going to get forced away by Caladre now on the ARS. On the overtake. There's nothing in it now. Heading into turn 7. The inside line though. With the AlphaTauri sweeping round and Tionis up in the 4th. I'm losing my voice. So I don't see you, James. So take us to the end. It's a battle of the Red Bulls. Who's going to come on top here today?
Goodness me, I haven't heard you croak this much in commentary before, if I'm going to be honest. Callboy is round just in behind as Isotopic lunges late on Caladre. Oh, and Isotopic's been sent round, and Jonas has been sent round in that as well. So the two Norwegians have been caught up, Isotopic and Volakongen. Volakongen now going side by side. Not sure what happened there entirely. Isotopic, though, I think has made contact with Jonas. He lets him through. He lets B. Morgan through. Look at the back of Scuba. He's now on the back of Matt Tibos. Matt Tibos is trying to get this win out on track. It's 0.8 of a second separating as we come onto the final lap of the race. Scuba sets the fastest lap of the race, but now Sway, coming from absolutely nowhere, is now on the back of LMN, running down in towards turn 1. Can he try and get the move done? The Mercedes, and in front, Jorg is trying to get the move done on Caladre, and Jorg has been spun by Caladre. Caladre, I think Jorg just trying to go down the inside line. There's contact there. Sway now on the back of LMN, but it's Gary who leads the way. Matt Tibos is in second, and one thing that I said has came exactly true. Scuba, I don't think, is going to be winning this one unless Matt Tibos lets his teammate through. But I cannot see that. I think Matt Tibos is up for the fight. Scuba is on the back, but Gary now coming around the final half of the lap. Can the Irishman try and somehow hang on as Alonso picks up a 3-second time penalty further down the field? Gary leads in towards turn 10 for the final time. My voice is absolutely aching after this. It is Gary now coming through turn 11. Then through turn 12, and Matt Tibos and Scuba right on the back. It's been an absolute instant classic here within Division 2. My honour to deliver you this along with Dan as Scuba trying to lunge it on Matt Tibos. But around the final corner, the championship leader Gary is going to take it out on track, but Scuba now within the slipstream. Matt Tibos wins by 0.1 of a second, and look at the amount of penalties that is going to unfold. We get LMN up to 4th, Volakongen in 5th in the end. Not sure how many penalties are being picked up. Callboy out of topic, and Jorg unfortunately being spun very late on with Caladre trying to go down the inside, and he finishes in 15th position. Oh, can we take a breath, please? That was a great race. Driver of the day, voted by in the in-game fans, is Volakongen, who gets awarded voted in-game driver of the day. But out on track, an absolute instant classic. It was Gary who took the win out on track, but it's Matt Tibos who wins. And now he does the Charleston at the top of the standings. And it's a Red Bull 1-2 with Scuba in second and Gary finishing in third.
What an incredible race. That was absolutely stunning. And the Red Bulls, 1/10 of a second covering them over the line. Absolutely sensational. That is your podium. Matt Tibos, Scuba, barely denied with Gary in third place. I can't wait to get the thoughts from those drivers after that race. Those are your top three. LMN is 4th at the end, then Volakongen rather quiet, but he does end up with that 5th place at the end, keeping it clean. That's where it can get you. Caladre in 6th place. A couple of errors holding back that brilliant strategy that he ran. Tionis is 7th after, I think, circumstances out of his own control sent him down the field as to what probably would have otherwise been a podium. B. Morgan is P8 then with Sway Noisy rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10, we have Alonso, AJ, Corboy, Isotopic, Jorg, McCrew, Nathan, Legend. That rounds off the grid. The bottom 3, McCrew, Nathan, Legend, not seeing out the checker flag. That was an absolute stunner of a race. Matt Tibos wins. He had to really fight for it, but he came through with flying colours, and Scuba ran him so close, but was just denied. I think one more corner, and the Irishman would have saw it through and got that race win. Absolutely amazing.
I don't even think it would have been one more corner. I think if that start-finish line was about 100 metres down, further down, I think Scuba would have got him. Photo finish across the line, I think he would have got him because he had the speed coming out of the final corners. But my God almighty, what an absolute race out on track. I think we should get the top 3 in.
I certainly agree with that. We definitely should get those guys in. So I'll start getting them involved. Then I'm very eager to hear their thoughts because that was absolutely stunning, exhausting. I think for the pair of us and for the drivers, I suspect, but hopefully for the fans, that was an incredible show. What a race, James.
I can't imagine what it was like for Tom with the top 3 graphic if he had that ready, to be honest, with all the penalties that were being unfolded out on track. But Matt Tibos' first victory here in TTML Division 2. Second podium for Gary. Best result for Scuba. He finished 4th previous to this, finished 2nd tonight. He picks up his best result. LMN, Tionis, Sway and Noisy all picking up their best results. And looking at the virtual championship coming into next week, Scuba leads the way by 1 point from Gary in second going into next week. Jorg is on 43 points there, but Scuba leading 1 point to Gary going into next week.
And again, the championship hangs on a knife edge after that race. We have not seen a runaway leader so far throughout this season. Sorry?
It might be 2 points because he picked up the fastest lap, but I'm not sure if that's included in. If it is, it's 1 point. It is 1 point. Just had that confirmed. If not, it would have been 2 points. But it is 1 point the gap going into tonight. Oh, going into tonight? Are we having another race? No, we're not. Into next week, I should say. Goodness me, if we're having another race, then I don't think my voice could take it. I'm not sure about yours, Dan.
Certainly, I think I have to agree with you on that one. Of course, next race, Baku. My oh my!
Oh no!
What on earth could that throw up?
I think it's a good job that Mike Edwards might be back next week because I'm taking you through Division 1 anyways for Baku. I don't want to be doing 2 races in a week, which might fill up quite chaotic and carnage full out on track. But again, big thank you, of course, to the IGK task system for providing us with this task system. Spag was trying to use the YouTube bot. Sadly, I don't think we configured it tonight, so that's why it wasn't working. But Spag, pretty much a bit of text commentary. If we can have him in every week doing a bit of text commentary within the chat, that'd be absolutely unbelievable. That'd be absolutely fantastic. But goodness me, we were treated to an absolute race. And as Dan mentioned, next week it is Baku. And Baku, of course, is one of those tracks where it's feared by the drivers. I think it's feared by us commentators as well. I remember back in TTL F2 back in the day, along with Aidan Carter, Blizzard, toxic, to the line, 1100ths of a second. I'm not expecting anything like that, but can we, please?
All I can say is, if you haven't seen that battle, please watch it. Yes, that it's certainly it's a track that promotes those sort of finishes, and I've seen in races that I've commentated back, you usually have a good record of at least races coming down to the last lap. So we'll see what happens then, as we have our third place finisher now in the party. I have invited the other two. I'm not sure if they're going to be with us though. So Gary, we filmed the podcast earlier, so I'm pretty sure these things are okay. But just to confirm, you can hear us, we can hear you, and your voice is on public.
Yeah, all the good stuff. Yep, no worries.
Excellent.
Gary, finishing in third position, you took the win out on track. What on earth happened with that 3-second time penalty, first and foremost?
It was kind of a stupid warning I got when I went for a pretty desperate move on York, to be honest, because I knew I was much quicker than him, and I just wanted to get past, and I went for a stupid move which gave me a warning. So my own fault, really. I can't complain about it. So it's my own mistake. So yeah.
Ultimately, the race costing mistake, I think, as well, from your perspective. But just talk us through that race, because we had safety car, a couple of VSCs in there as well. We had it all. A couple? We had more than a couple.
What was it, 4 VSCs I think we had?
4, I think, yeah.
Yeah. It was very stop-start, the race was, which around here I don't think is the worst thing, because tyre wear is very minimal here, or very marginal even. So, I wasn't really too fussed. It was because I felt like pace was good. Just it was a shame that I think it was the second or the third VSC where Jorg and Scuba were able to pit, and they gained, or Caladri got to pit, and they gained track position. That sort of hindered me as well a little bit, because I could have been a lot further down the road, but it is what it is, I guess.
It is what it is, and obviously going into next week as well, I'll come to Dan if he's got any questions in just a second, but one final question from me. You are 1 point behind Scuba going into next week in Baku. What are your expectations?
Just to win, basically.
Every
week. Well, I mean, I've had like Bahrain was a poor race for me. Yes, today wasn't the cleanest. So I think I should be winning this championship. I should be leading at least at the moment, but I'm not. So I won Baku last season. So hopefully I can do the same again next week.
We'll see if that's the case. And just to hear from you on the race, because of that late safety car, which obviously really mixed up
the strategies and orders. What was going through your mind? Because I saw, I'm not sure if you did this just to psych out the other drivers, but you flirted with that pit entry. What was your mindset going through there, and what were you thinking in terms of the strategy? Were you tempted to go in?
No, I was never pitting. I was never pitting. I was just trying to maybe joke a few people or pretend maybe a few people go into the pit. I think Matt Tibbos very nearly went into the pits.
Yeah, I saw that.
He nearly lost it when he tried to correct it. But yeah, I never wanted to pit because track position is very key, and I had a 3-second pen, so it would have been pretty pointless. And I was quite lucky that a few people behind me got in 2 incidents or whatever happened behind me. I'm not too sure, and I managed to somehow sneak onto the podium. So yeah, not too bad, I guess.
And I think that's it from Dan.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's it, I think. Yeah, thank you so much, Gary. We'll go and let you enjoy your evening.
Thank you. No worries, boys.
Oh, please let us rest after that. Could this be? Scuba and Matt Tibbos, I don't think are going to join the session. Nah. They never join, I think, for interviews, to be honest, which is a shame. But we'll try and get some thoughts from them, maybe leading up in towards next week. And hopefully you will see the return of a very good Welshman who's going to be commentating you through, I hope, next week. I had to literally come in at half an hour's notice. I did this tonight. So please recommend that you go back and watch this stream and watch Dan nearly lose his voice about a lap and a half from the end of the race. I think that's a sight that we love and behold.
I don't.
Anyways, yeah, so next week, of course, is Baku. More immediately, though, it is TTML Division 4 and Division 5. I'm back in action tomorrow night alongside Paco Suarez. And then taking you through Division 5, of course, is James Boyle, who is going to be taking you through the Division 5 action. That's Saturday. Don't think we're racing on Saturday, but Sunday, it is TTML F2. I think it's round 5 of the championship, if I'm not mistaken. And it is Pepsi Freak and TFI Buck who are taking you through that one. We start again CWC on Monday, TTML Division 1 on Tuesday, and then it is the brand new TTML EML Sprint League. I don't know what to call it. What's its official name?
EML Drivers Championship, I think, is the official name of it.
EML Drivers Championship, and you're doing that alongside Aiden.
That's right, yep.
Yeah, but a self-promotion doesn't do any harm, certainly, and that's, of course, next Wednesday at 8 p.m. UK time?
Yes.
See, I know these things. They don't pay me for anything here in TTML. What?
Excuse me?
Who said about payment? Very interesting. Anyways, that's it from us, I think. That's it from myself and Dan. Please take care of yourselves in this crazy world that we all live in. And probably for the first time in Division 2, we're going to attempt this. So, I've been James Head.
How about Daniel Hogarth?
Please take care of yourselves in this crazy world we all live in. And we will see you next time.
Persistent, spoken into existence, so consistent, no assistance. Hear me once, become addicted. If I rap it, then I live it. There's no cap, and I'll be breaking this. This ain't what you want, bitch. I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch. I'm a fucking phenomenon.
This product is brought to you by Unknown Brain. Thank you for listening. Love you all.
Holding on to what I know, to everything I've learned, what is real and fabricated, what is wrong, what is my problem, what can I get out of this world that I created, fighting the storms in my head, don't know where I have been, I'm alone, no one to turn to, no one understands, shit's too complicated, away, and I feel like I am someone else, away, and I feel like I don't know myself, no, away, and I feel like I don't know my name, and I don't want to live this way, I don't want to keep on wasting a life, I'm drowning in my head, I'm losing the mind. And if you could know, yeah, if I could show you, I don't wanna keep on living this life so faceless.
Unknown Brain, Marvin Divine, and we back.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. Made it through the rain, I turn nothing into something. No more dealing with their assumptions, cause I do what I gotta do and I know, can't nobody do it like me. All they do is judge me for who I might be. Maybe if they took some time to pick my mind and see that I'm cooler than lemons and iced tea. All I wanna do is live it up with the homies. Everybody really talking as if they know me, but I guess I gotta face it. I'm so tired of being faceless.
I don't wanna keep on wasting a life. I'm drowning in my head, I'm losing the mind. And if you could know, yeah, if I could show you, I don't wanna keep on living this life so faceless. So faceless.
I've got a premonition, I'm dreaming you and I. All my darkest fears are coming outside. We got a billion races, we got this melody, and you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love. I got you on my mind. You were stuck in my head and I don't know why. We got a billion races, breakfast. We got this melody, and you can trust me, baby. We got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love. Jungle of love. We're running in the jungle of love.
I remember the days, always at the same place, the same people every day. I will never forget this black old Corvette standing in front of my way. We were both in high school. I thought I was a fool. Oh, when I was falling for you. You keep drawing me in, and I know it's a sin. But even so, yeah, I need you. You taste like candy. Eat you on a Sunday. Feel so bittersweet, knowing I can leave. You taste like candy. Eat you on a Sunday. I can feel the beat on my heart and beats. 'Cause you taste like candy. I remember the night when you kissed me goodbye, and I said I'd be just fine. The next day you were gone, packed your car and left on. But looking back, I still want you. You taste like candy. Eat you on a Sunday. Feel so bittersweet, knowing I can leave. You taste like candy. Eat you on a Sunday. I can feel the beat on my heart and beats. 'Cause you taste like candy. Tasty. Eat you on a Sunday. Feel so bittersweet, knowing I can leave. You taste like candy. Eat you on a Sunday. I can feel the beat of my heart increase.
You don't know what goes on behind these eyes. You don't know the loneliness hidden inside